Truth be told, I've kind of missed the opening bandwagon for the finals in terms of getting on the hype train of saying how good it is. I never got to give my say because I wasn't there for launch. I played the beta for the finals, and conceptually and in terms of gameplay, it just didn't click. I didn't really like it at all. But something has changed since then. Because since then, the finals has taken me and dragged me kicking and screaming through multiple matches over multiple weeks, and I've grown to love this game as an incredibly slick and well-built casual bit of fun from time to time. That's my use case for it. I know some other people will take this game very competitively, and I understand it's kind of built around that in a way, but for me, the word that describes it is slick. This is pure, slick, unadulterated, unfiltered fun. And the finals, with its new update, has made it so that this is accessible to even solo players with its limited time solo mode. And with the addition of that, it's firmly asserted itself in my lineup of FPS games that I jump into very regularly. And let's delve a bit further into just how it's done that. First, let's talk setting, because this is the one thing that I really wasn't sold on the start. There's one other issue that I'll get into in a bit, but overall, my main gripe with the finals in terms of how it's presented is the setting. I did not like the idea of an imaginary esports tournament where you're all thrown into a couple of maps surrounded by a big crowd with this very fake setting. I prefer my games grounded in more realistic stuff such as Arma or Battlefield 4 or 1 or 5 or even 2042 setting compared to this. However, the game kind of flipped that on its head in terms of how I viewed it because of the way it implements it into its design. There are three main components to this. There's the visual presentation with the in-game assets such as the coins that other players drop, the caching stations, the gadgets and the vaults. There's the UI, which is incredibly slick and clean and fits the aesthetic perfectly, and the sound design and music. Let's start with the visual stuff first, because the maps are very Mirror's Edge-like. They're very polished, they're very clean, but that doesn't mean they're untouchable. They're all destructible to an incredibly advanced extent I've never seen before in a game. I don't know how this can run perfectly on both consoles and PC, and by the way, if you were living under a rock, this game has perfectly fully functional crossplay between both of them and cross-save, meaning I can jump between my console and PC and progress the same character and battle paths. So I don't understand how the finals has managed to make this game run so well with the destruction to the maps being at the scale that it's at. I think it's something to do with server-side destruction, if I remember that right, but it truly is a technical marvel, and I really admire it for that, and I admire these devs who are clearly veterans at what they do, because this stuff is so polished. They've really done a good job at building that visual style. They haven't really meddled with that esports feeling. They fully committed to it, and I think that's what eventually sold me on it. Whereas I wasn't originally happy with that setting and that whole premise and the inclusion of the announcers, who we'll get into a bit later, but by the end I was happy with it and I was sold on this experience because everything meshed together visually so well. There's something so satisfying about the UI elements which feel so polished, interacting with the world that looks so clean but is so in-depth in terms of how each player can interact with it using their explosives and weapons. And even with the player movement, which feels so smooth. I haven't felt a player controller this good in a very long time, and I'm addicted to how this game feels. Of course, I did mention sound design too, because what's being played in your ears is just as important as what you're seeing on screen. Each sound, from player movement to the sounds of each weapon you're using to gadgets and explosives and the crumbling sounds of buildings, it all meshes together so well. And I can't really begin to describe how good the music in this game is. I've just got to let you listen to it. Gunplay too has a real kick to it, but it's at a point where it's manageable. It makes the game feel more grounded because of the slick animation work here and how the guns interact with the player in terms of recoil and the accuracy of the netcode here. I haven't run into any issues in my hours of playtime across both platforms, and that is a real breath of fresh air in the FPS industry. And the ways that the guns and explosives interact with the environment in terms of how much you can really affect it and bring buildings down feels like a Battlefield Levolution that can happen anywhere on the map whenever you want it to, in whatever way. Matches will play out completely differently because of which buildings people decide to really control and take down, and which walls they want to open, and which routes they want to create for themselves, giving the players more agency and multiple options on how to approach a scenario and win a match because they control how the environment stands or falls. Moving on to something a little less positive for me, it's the cosmetics, because I do feel like these are an area where the game pushes that boat out a little too far in terms of visual style. I understand this is a very esportsy tournament type of game, and they want players to be able to express themselves in whatever way they want, but it strays a little bit too much into the Call of Duty side of visual aesthetics that I don't quite like. Although, I say that, in this last patch, the Finals devs have added some really nice looking, more militaristic and milsim-like cosmetics. And this is also a game where I did buy a pet cat to sit on my shoulder, so I guess I can eat my words a little bit. It was just so cute, you can't blame me. So everything's great across the board, or is it? Well, not quite. There's one caveat to the Finals that I really fundamentally and ethically disagree with, and that is the use of AI. This has been covered to death by now, but the long and short of it is, the Finals uses AI for its announcers.
It's every contestant for themselves in this version of Bank It. The goal is clear. Gather coins from vaults or vanquished opponents and deposit them for the win.
Exactly, and with cash bonuses for each elimination, the stakes are higher than ever. It's a true test of skill and strategy.
For some of the announcer voice lines, it's not too hard to tell, but for others, it's incredibly easy to see that this shortcut was taken because of mispronunciations and multiple other issues, and due to the fact that these AI voice announcers, while they are technically good compared to a chatbot AI, let's say, they're never going to match a real human's output to a game like this in terms of audio. Voice talent should definitely be hired for the Finals to do the voiceover here. Initially, I kind of understood the use of AI because I thought the game would utilize this to make each match feel more personal, but it doesn't. For example, I thought the announcers would maybe call out each player by name if they got an achievement in a game, or they did something well, or they cashed out. It would read out your gamer tag, or your Steam username, or your PSN name for the whole lobby to hear, and that would make you feel more immersed in the experience because it's calling you out personally. Or maybe you could give your own team a name, so when you play, the announcers will call your team by the name that you chose. That would be such a cool feature, but the Finals doesn't utilize any of this with its AI technology, so I fail to see the point of why it's even in the game. All of the voice lines in the Finals could be accomplished by using proper voice talent, and to me, that is borderline unacceptable. I would love to hear what the Finals devs say about this in terms of why they've used AI in this case. I just fundamentally and ethically disagree with this decision. Anyway, sorry to end on such a dour note. The Finals is an incredible game. Aside from this one fairly large issue, to be honest, that I have with it, it absolutely blew me away, and even though I'm not a very competitive and even consistent player of it every single day, it is a lot of fun every time I decide to jump into it casually, and is a technical marvel to behold that looks great and also runs great, surprisingly. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy this little rant about the Finals. I finally talked about this game I've been meaning to for a while, so I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.